Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. And I'm back to my regular routine. And, it's really interesting. I was thinking about this, all these May birthdays and Tauruses in here back in not too long ago was filled with cancers.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm the only Cancer left.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the only one left. Good morning, Debo. Good morning,
morning,
Carvey. Good morning, Nate.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's happening, y'all?
Just here, man. Trying to make it do what it do.
Squirrel out here trying to get a nut. Phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I did last night. We were down at the Miller Theater. My godson graduated from Howard Fuller Academy. So they had his graduation last night. I say it was long, but I'm going to say it was long. But the reason why it was long was they have a Kente ceremony where the graduating students will drape someone who's been very instrumental, very supportive in their high school career. And so that was really moving last night to see the number of parents, siblings that were recognized for the level of support that they provided. So it was interesting. I don't quite understand, and maybe because it was utter silence when I graduated from high school. But people really, when that name is called, they say Keith Parris and the whole family just screaming. And oh, dude,
You didn't have your entourage?
Oh, I had a pretty good entourage at my graduation. Yeah, I had my family, church friends. Yeah, I had pretty good. I probably had about, I would say about 20 people.
Was it ticketed at back in that era?
No. No, because I think we had about 175 in my graduating class.
Mm-hmm.
And the auditorium seats about 2,500. It was a huge auditorium. So, yeah, it was plenty of seats. I don't think we ticketed when my niece, Parris, graduated from Dominican. It was just like you get in open season.
It's kind of I guess it kind of helps them gauge
right
how many folks are going to be there. I don't know that, but I've known of some graduations where you got to buy tickets.
Yeah, over and beyond the allotment. Because each student
they get their initial allotment, but if they got a big entourage, the other folks got to pay.
Yeah. And I could see that, and I know certainly on the collegiate level, because classes are so large. The year though I graduated, I think a friend of mine was graduating from Custer, and they had over 800. It was big. Whoa, but it wasn't the biggest I've ever been to. My two nephews, Marquise and Marcus, graduated from, I think it's the Miami International High School. Literally 2,500 students
Wow.
graduated. There was no commencement speech. All it was
Didn't have time.
Didn't have time. All they did was just give out
Hand out
diplomas.
yeah.
And we were over at the University of Miami in their facility, man. But it was amazing to see all those students. And the favorite moment was, and I got to remember, we're in Miami, right? There are all of these Cubans who left Cuba because of Castro. Fidel Castro. And so, and the woman set us up. You get the book with the names in it. She said, now, and this is the only time she ever kind of interjected herself. She said, I want you all just to kind of be cool on this, right? So these brothers graduate. Their names was Fidel and Raul Castro.
Oh, jeez.
I think they were like Peruvian or something like that.
Not in Miami.
Not in Miami,
right?
That is not a great name, and the whole place just went crazy, man. I mean, they went nuts and she set us up like, yeah, it's getting ready to come, yeah, and it was amazing. These two brothers were I don't know if they were twins, but Fidel and Raul Castro. So anyway, this is the graduation season. I know very many people right now celebrating their graduates either from high school or certainly from college. I don't know if they still throwing 8th grade graduations, but I've seen some people. There was something yesterday.
Let me ask you this, because I think I know where you're going. Have you seen some inappropriate attire at graduations?
What's inappropriate?
I
would wear it.
Is
right?
Would you allow your daughter to wear it?
Oh no. But it's amazing because I'm looking at the kids. They graduated in shorts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they had I saw a lot of Jordans. You know, I mean, it's different. I'm trying to remember. For us, though, it was time to put on a suit. So
right,
we had church clothes on when we graduated. But yeah. So it's all good. So again, shout out to the folks over at Howard Fuller Academy. I think next year, next school year, they might be
in
moving
the new
building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over there on Bell Phillips and Garfield, right there on the corner.
Good friend of mine, Mr. Kim Ford, teaches over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and let me shout out. I knew he was cold, man, but Rodney Cunningham.
Oh, you didn't know?
I'd heard him before. But he was the music lab. They were good. They were really good to the point where Dr. Fuller looked over and said they were on point. And of course, his charge is his charge. You know, the charge you give to graduates going out.
Right.
But it was interesting. So again, those folks who are celebrating that, and I know in many instances, parents have made enormous sacrifices you have to put up. And look, the toughest year. One of the toughest years, if not the toughest year, is when you have a 17-year-old in your house, because 17-year-olds are right on the point of being 18. And now how do I navigate that, man? And look, it was tough for me, man. But
one, they think they're grown.
Yeah.
Already.
Right. And you have to negotiate some things. But dude, I couldn't wait to get out of my mama's house. Oh man, I was on the first thing smoking. Huh?
Why?
Well, I thought that I lived in one of the worst families of all time.
You thought? You quickly found out.
I quickly found out how good I had it, man. But yeah, I mean, you grown, you want to be able to get out and.
Once you left, did you ever go back? Did you ever have to go back?
Yeah, I did. Once I graduated, I stayed with my mom for about 3 years.
Till Rhonda took you in?
No.
I'm just messing with you.
Got my own place.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, she
took you in.
A little homeless self. But yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't wait, man. That college was on my mind. I'm out of here. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning to you, Mr. Parris.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam.
And the other people in the studio. I was listening in a previous show, and maybe I shouldn't even bring that up. I recant that.
Okay.
But this is what I like to say. When it comes to the situation, the extermination of the Palestinian people that is taking place, and they're being pushed out of Rafah, and they're clearing a path. Israel is expanding to the Mediterranean. They're trying to nullify the usefulness of the Suez Canal. And I'd like to know, when people do talk about the Israeli situation, how come they never speak about it in its full capacity? The Congress, both sides of the Congress of the United States of America, is influenced, if not controlled entirely, by the Israeli nation. This is a known fact, and people may dispute it, and that is why America can't be as aggressive as she probably would if this were, let's say, if Ukraine was attacking Poland. Mm-hmm. I'm sure America would have big boyed it, or they would have used their awesome power to neutralize it on whichever side that they wanted to fall on. So the thing is that Israel wants to be the superpower in that area. Some of the callers, they try to distract us or send us in another direction when it comes to the Israeli impact over in that region. We know what's going on in Sudan. We know that every place over there in the east or in Africa, wherever there's a darker hue population of people, these people have been completely marginalized and absolutely disenfranchised. They're still owing debt to France. They're using what do they call it, francophone. They're using a French currency to navigate their own society. They don't even have their own currency. These things are never said, and everybody is always fearful of speaking about what the Jewish state of Israel is doing and has done. And that says to me that you can't have faith in God, Allah, or be one who even accepts the teachings of the prophets, because these things are written in these scriptures. They never talk about what is truly at the base of Jewish imperialism, and that is the Talmudic teachings, the rabbinical writings of Jewish scholars that these people adhere to. There are some who adhere to the Torah, and I'm not talking about them, and they know that. But there are the others who use the Talmud, and that's how they navigate life. They see you as nothing to them. That is why it was easy for them to destroy 34,000 Palestinians as opposed to 1,200, because Talmudic writings say that the life of a non-Jew is the equivalent to one of their fingernails, man.
Yeah,
come on.
Let me, and you're right.
Thank you.
On a lot of different levels. We were, and that's kind of ironic because we were talking about this in Sunday school, and that how the ancient Hebrews looked at Gentiles as dogs, like less than people. Now, for whatever reasons, that's how they ended up. That was their thing. And there are things that I'm real uncomfortable with when I read like the Old Testament and divine sanctioned genocide. Is really kind of ironic because you hear this term in terms of Palestinian aspiration, where they said from the Jordan to the sea. And what they're saying is that, and I know that there are people who disagree and we go back and forth, but this is their ancestral territorial land. They were displaced by people who either left or who were never there. And so for many, many years, Israel was a pariah. The Israeli lobby in America is strong. Let us not deceive ourselves. They have outsized influence based on the size of the population of Jews in this country. And then we need to be clear. There is anti-Semitism, but we're talking now specifically about the nation of Israel and how it is treating people who are in their territorial borders. And Christopher is right. This almost, I can't even do the math on it because I'm not good at math, but maybe over 1,000 people died on October 7th. Right now, there's 34,000 Palestinians who have lost their lives. This is a disproportionate response to what happened to them. And let's talk about cause and effect. The reason why Hamas even launched that attack was the 16-year siege of Gaza. Nothing could get in, nothing could get out. Israel controlled everything. The irony of all of this is when some people look at this, they go, it's the same thing that happened to Jews in Poland and Europe during World War II, where people were displaced, put into ghettos, put into concentration camps. And there have been many world organizations prior to October the 7th that said that Gaza was a concentration camp based on the living conditions that those folks have to live under. Strategically for America, Israel is its friend in the region, right? And so strategically, it's important. And he talks about the Suez Canal, but there's also the Persian Gulf, right? Where oil is being moved back and forth. And so people have made strategic decisions on who to align themselves with. There was a what is it? Would be a resolution non-binding in the UN last week, which called for the ceasefire in Gaza, and America vetoed it. So, and that was the General Assembly. He's correct in terms of how we talk about it. If you are an elected official, people are very fearful of alienating the Israeli lobby. This puts people like progressives like Gwen Moore in a tough situation because if she comes out where it seems that she is supportive of Palestinian aspirations, there are Jewish groups who will, go after her. And if she's too supportive of Israel, there are then Palestinians who will go after her. And she's really been catching it because they've confronted her at meetings, they being Palestinians. They've confronted, picketed her house, right? So it is. And it's this outsized influence that that the Israeli lobby had. Someone, I don't know which senator he was talking. I don't know if it was Chuck Schumer, one of the Jewish senators, and they said that he is basically the senator from Israel. And I understand for Jewish people the significance of that land to them in terms of their heritage, their history. But it is also as important to those Palestinian people. And that land is important to them and for them too. You're listening to Community Voice. The phone lines are open, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. Let me do a couple of things. I received a couple of texts yesterday. Thank you for those who listened. We were talking about Caitlin Clark, and someone had text. I didn't get the article, but I think the gist of the article was, and it was something that Kwaku said to me yesterday too, as he was about to begin his program. We were talking a little bit about Caitlin Clark. And I was saying, obviously, because someone texted, she is the great white hope. That's obvious to anybody that's watching. If you didn't watch the WNBA before her, which was still, and actually, there's still a lot of white women that play in the WNBA, but the stars, the faces of the WNBA tend to be black women. And now you have this white woman from Iowa, right? I don't know if you get any more, and I put in quotations, American than that. So yes, it has everything to do with that she's white. But then there was something that Kwaku said that I thought was really fascinating. And I hadn't thought about this, but it was something Kelsey Plum had alluded to. Allegedly, Caitlin Clark is straight. And so that's another appeal. Now, there are people that Candace Parker, we were talking about, she married Sheldon Williams. They had her first child with Sheldon Williams. And a few years later, she comes out as gay. And I think the WNBA has that's an image problem that they don't. So if you just look at their pictures, now there's some women there who tend to look more masculine than other women. And that's how they express themselves, right? And then there are others who, it's just really pretty, that whole glam girl thing. So yeah, it's both. She's straight and white. And I think from a marketing perspective, that becomes real important because I wish we lived in a world where one's sexuality doesn't really matter, but we're not quite in that world yet. There are people who obviously have issues with people who might have a different sexual orientation than themselves. So yes, Al, you're right. It is. Obviously, she's white. And again, Kwaku, I agree with you. If she's in fact straight, and that's how they're promoting her, because they showed her boyfriend and the whole thing. Because, and I don't know, because it would be like, I have to believe that in the NBA, there are gay men playing basketball in the NBA, right? But I don't think that America's gotten to the point yet where an athlete can be openly gay. And a lot of times it's the fellow athletes that really have the issue, right? In terms of that. So I think we have a long way to go when it comes to, I hate using words like acceptance and tolerance, but I think we have a long way to go where it does not really make a difference who you love. And we're progress has been made, but there's still so many other things. And a lot of it is attitude, and attitudes are slowly shifting, where people will more understanding, but clearly the majority of people in this world are straight. The minority of the people in this world are gay. And so now you get the tyranny of the majority, where we look at people as different, other, right? And so hopefully we'll get to the day where we don't have to describe people by who they love, right? Because it's fascinating, but it would be very difficult. Like if someone, I think it's Dwight Howard right now, this kind of, I want to say sexually nebulous in terms of where it is and his whole, and I appreciate what he's saying, going like whoever I get with, that's just between me and that individual. But because image is really important when it comes to sports, yeah, you have a situation where that could be the issue. So both of you guys, thank you for that, raising that. I think it drives a lot of what's happening, and again, the marketing of the WNBA. Now, with that said, there are a lot of those veterans in the WNBA who might be a little jealous of the push that Caitlin Clark is getting, because they put in that time, that effort. They're out there doing it every day. They don't get necessarily the same push that you have. And then in America, we sell everything with sex, right? And so you're seeing all these glam shots of these athletes. There was just an advertisement I was watching. I think it's or something. I think it's body wear that women wear. And they had Candace Parker, Kelsey Plum. There were two other women that they had. And one, I was, man, they're in phenomenal shape. Oh, wow. But this sex thing, how do you look? I mean, it is for a lot of women who might be attracted to the NBA. A lot of it is because, they might see somebody out there as cute and attractive. And so, this is America. We use sex to sell a whole lot of stuff. All right. We got a caller. Morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is the Reverend Dr. Andrew Ward, and I wanted to commend the Reverend Dr. Keith Parris on this professorial dissertation just before my call. But Christopher, I wanted him to hear that how he hurt my feelings when he said I was ineffective as a teacher at MATC.
Hey, can you turn your radio down a little bit for us?
I'm doing that. Anyway, I want to hold this against you, Dr. Keith Parrish. You should be a very high-ranking professor at a lot of these universities because they need you. You and our Dr. Michelle Bryant. And I'm going to let that go at that. And y'all have a good one.
All right, you too. Thank you, bro. Morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Praise God.
Good morning.
Praising God, just saying, keep lifting up the Lord, baby.
All right. You got us on speak. Oh, lost her. Okay. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Oh, you let me in. What's up, Mr. Parrish? What up, Brother Debo? How y'all black, beautiful souls doing?
Doing all right, bro. How you?
Be in here.
All right, and the ugly ones too. I don't want nobody being left out and thinking I'm being rude. Hey, I was wondering as I was sitting here listening to you flip and flop on your banner and as you was talking, are you for homosexuality or are you for the people's choice to pick and choose? Which one are you backing?
Ask me the question again.
Wow.
Because I wanted to give him an accurate answer, and he asked me, am I for homosexuals and that, or am I for people's choices? So that's why I was asking him kind of clarify the question so I could give a proper answer. I don't think that we should be either for or against. I think that if we believe that people have the right to live their lives the way they live their lives and live their truths, then they live their truths. But let's be honest about it. In religion, I can just talk about that. There's no more vilified group that you will hear people in religion go after. For example, Catholic Church hasn't broken up over. No, I won't use that example. So I do know that you can go find yourself in situations where gay folks have sat in churches and listened to pastors go on and on and on about how they're going to hell, how they're, I think the word is abomination and all these descriptives, right? Now, I would point out that in my reading of the scriptures, I have not read where Jesus particularly called out people who were homosexual. Now, that could be for a lot of different reasons, but obviously Jesus didn't address it as an issue. We have addressed it as an issue. I'm talking about those of us now in some of our Christian churches. But I asked a question. I said, when was the last time anybody been sitting in church and heard a pastor, preacher get up and do a fire and brimstone message on divorce? Yet, Jesus was clear on his feelings about divorce and how difficult it should be for one to get a divorce. But I've never heard that. Well, I can tell you why I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that because some of these ministers are divorced, right? And so, and here's a great example, Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley, who is really fundamentalist in his view, got a divorce. It caused a bit of a stir, but he did not lose his pulpit because he got a divorce. There have been men and women who have lost their pulpits when it came out or it was discovered that, in fact, they were gay. So, there's this double standard. I'll never forget, I told the story. I'll tell the story again. Rhonda and I were at a workshop in Washington, D.C. on sexuality in the Black church. And they had a session called Denominational Whispers. And what they were doing was they invited all these folks, and this was really an ecumenical group, everything from Pentecostals to Methodists to Episcopals to Baptists, and all these folks come together trying to come up with a curriculum that they could use to teach reproductive health, in religious settings. And so there was a brother who was a pastor of a church down in Slidell, Louisiana. Good brother. And so we're having this conversation, and there were a lot of divinity school and seminarians there, and they tended to be very progressive, in this whole idea. And look, it shouldn't really matter whether you're gay or straight. It's the truth of God that should be preeminent over everything. And then they talked about the rejection that some people have experienced because of their sexual orientation. And so the brother got up and he said, you know what? I had a situation. I got involved with a parishioner, and I don't know if she got pregnant or what the deal. He never said, but it was pretty bad because he then had to go to the deacons to share what had happened. So he says, so I go to the deacons and I tell them what happened. He said, the deacons embraced me. They said, Pastor, we're praying for you. We're going to work this out, but we want you to stay put. That's what he did. So then, me being the provocateur, I raised my hand. I said, what if you had gone to those same deacons and told them you were gay? How long you think you would have had that church? Okay, now, so the idea of how we react to things becomes real important. I think the church has done enormous harm to gay people. One, making them feel like less than, and then condemning them to hell. And the level of condemnation when it comes to sending them to hell, I mean, it is off the chain. I don't know what preacher thought he was clever when he got up and started talking about God created Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. And God created everybody, regardless of one's sexual orientation, right? Regardless of one's ethnicity or one's gender, He created everybody. And if I'm reading the account of Genesis in terms of creation, at the end of all creation, God stood back and said, and it is good. That seems to be all inclusive to me. But there's some, and then there are people who are going to use the Bible as their justification, either for their hostility or their homophobia. And then we can, we fall back on God because if God said it was wrong, but there's a whole lot of things. And I said that God said is wrong that people do every day, and they're not condemning themselves or others to hell. So just one black man's opinion. Yeah. Speaking of that, I was talking to a buddy of mine. There used to be on WNOV a segment, and it was Roy Woods. And he would always sign off with, and this is just one black man's opinion. Well, I guess I should have figured it out. Roy Woods Jr., that's his son. And because we were thinking, because you hear people say like, yeah, that's just one black man's opinion. I can remember, man, that would have been back in the 70s when he was on, and that's how he would always end. Because WNOV did too. I think they also did Carl Rowan. Yeah, that they did back in the day in terms of daily commentary. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning again.
Good morning, sir.
I want to speak on something you just referred to. Hell and heaven. I went to Presbyterian colleges where they taught religion, and I'll never forget the relief I got from Reverend Morrow at Mary Holmes Junior College, who said there is no hell. Carlton Pearson said that he got excommunicated. And I wasn't a Presbyterian. I got a full scholarship to Presbyterian College. I went to the University of Duke also. And I want you to expound on that, Reverend Dr. Keith Parris.
All right. So you try to get me kicked out of the Baptist church right now, aren't you?
You're not hard to work with, are you?
No. It's interesting. The ancient Jewish folks believe, and again, I mentioned that because this is where we get the basis of our Christian doctrine, and a lot of that is because those folks, the early church, were primarily Jewish people. Their life and death, that's what resurrection was about. Either you're going to be resurrected or you're not. So either you're going to live or you're going to die after we leave this whole finite human tent, right? Dante, back during the I want to say it was during the Dark Ages, where people were dying from the plague and people were looking for hope. And so then we come up with the and I know this is where I'm going to get kicked out, this idea of heaven and hell. But if you really read the scriptures, it talks about life and death, life and death. This heaven and hell, because I think Dante, there's like 9 chambers where you go. That's where you get purgatory. So a lot of that is Catholic theology in terms of the heaven and hell. But if you look at the scriptures, it talks about life and death, right? And so, but heaven was this place, and it's really interesting even how we describe heaven, where the streets are paved with gold, and how many people lost their lives because of gold. Why would you even need gold in heaven? So yeah, I think when it is depending on where you are, and as a Presbyterian, and Presbyterians tend to be more fundamentalist, I could see where he would have gotten excommunicated for that, because that goes against a lot of thought that we have, and a lot of that is European influence, right? A lot of what we see in the so-called Christian church is a lot of the European influence, less Semitic. The great divide is, for example, diet, right? Semitic people, they have this thing where they have all these things they cannot eat, which includes, I think, shrimp and catfish and things like that. Europeans, because the church, as we know it, was really formed in the 4th century under Constantine. So then we have all these things. So heaven and hell, depending on where you are, you could be at Duke Divinity School. They're not going to talk to you or preach about heaven and hell. But if you go to Southern Baptist Seminary, they're going to talk about it. They tend to be more fundamentalist in terms of their belief system. But yeah, the Bible talks about life and death. Even that whole thing when Jesus was crucified and they said he went down into Hades. Hades means death, not hell. That Greek word Hades means death. So he went down to death and he conquered death. So that's the whole thing about resurrection. But again, we, as part of our Christian theology, we do have these tenets of heaven and hell. Divine reward. Eternal reward, eternal punishment. I appreciate you, man. Hopefully I'll have a Baptist church to go to Sunday. Carla, welcome to the program.
We are sitting here waiting on you to answer the answer. And then number 2, I kind of see how it is with you when I ask you a question that you don't listen to me. That proves right there. I know I speak specifically clear, but here, let me get off of that and get to the point that you don't do. Are you, listen to me, are you for homosexuality? I didn't say homosexuals. I said the act of homosexuality. Are you for it or are you against it? And then especially in your position that you speak so highly of.
I can answer that.
I know how you're supposed to answer. That's why I'm asking the question, and you flibble and flobble and flip, and you don't make no stance. And you are kind of a person that, to me, my opinion, that you detrimental to Black history and knowledge, because you won't stand true for hearing other points of view on a certain subject that you think you're the most intelligent of. But come on, answer my question. Are you down with homosexuality, or are you just down for people's rights?
Then he dropped the mic. I am down. I am down for people's rights. I will not consign anybody to hell. But I think people have the right to live freely, to be who you are. And certainly if you're not harming anyone, I think you just have the right. I mean, I want to be able to have the right to live my truth, and to whatever that truth is. But, whether you're down with it or not, the whole other thing. And then I think the fact that the personal attack then becomes, let's go on the basis of the substance of what you're proffering, as opposed to make me the worst person ever born since Hitler. Yeah, Nate.
Just as you would have to assess with a straight relationship, it's more than just the intercourse or like
right.
The private stuff.
Right.
Because if you build your relationship on intercourse, it's not going to last.
Right. That's a great point, because we're not tripping on people loving somebody. We tripping on how they having sex. Thank you, Nate. That's what we tripping on, because we don't get down like that. And then, I get all these private texts talking about, well, we do a whole lot of things privately. But yeah, who you love, again, if you do a survey and you said, do you have the right to love who you love? The majority of people would say yes. But it was something Tom Jordan used to say. They said, same sex, same problems. When you having a relationship, it is less about the sex in relationship and your ability to get along with each other in the relationship, right? Because once sex loses its bloom, now you sitting here with a relationship. And what does that look like? So I just think, but I know it's very different. I am still evolving in terms of, because my wife from time to time will say, Keith, you're so homophobic, right? Like evolving. But I want to evolve to the point where the soul and the humanity is more important than some of these things, then in the great scheme of things really shouldn't matter. Caller, welcome to the program.
Debo and Carvey. I love my community. I love the fact that we're individuals and we can call in and express our views. I think it's unfair that anyone would hold your foot to the fire and use you as an example of what's going on. That's not fair. But what is fair, and if even we're all growing and evolving, I don't believe in abortion as a means of birth control. But I do believe every woman has a right to make a choice. As far as homosexuality, it is something in the Bible. Lovers of your own kind is a sin. It's in the Bible. Do I have a right to go cast that on everybody and doom someone to hell when also it's in the Bible? Liars, murderers, you name it, any kind of sin there is, that's in there also. So just as you pointing your finger at somebody else for their sin, it's three going back at you. And I think that we need to come together as people and leave the judging to God or whoever you believe in. But to ostracize a whole society and make life impossible for them, we're no better than the ones that are doing blacks the way they do us. So when do we become what we hate? And I think we should respect each other, call in, update us, educate us, but let's not be at each other because we're going to need each other because they're coming for us. And if we all splattered all over the place, we're going to be easy picking.
Now, divorce,
So,
divorce is in the Bible, though, right?
Another thing.
Hold on.
You're
Before,
not the only
no.
one
Before you do
in the
another
ministry.
thing, wait.
Tell some other pastors to call in and chime in.
Okay.
And see what they have to say about some things.
Okay. Well,
and you have a great show.
Wait, don't go. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, don't go. I want to ask a question. Divorce is in the Bible, right?
Yes. It is in there. Tell somebody to call in that knows that scripture. Lovers of your own kind. That is a problem. And then I forgot to mention this heaven and hell. Now, the lake of fire, I don't know, what was that in reference to? And there is a torment that you're going to go through, whatever that is, either you're going to be resting in a paradise or you're going to be eternally suffering somewhere for the sins and things that you've committed. Isn't he not going to separate the people on Judgment Day? So I'm not a Bible scholar, but what I have read, I try to understand, but trying to put myself in God's state of mind, man, I can't even fathom that.
Well, I think here's the issue. You mentioned abortion, right? Abortion is a medical procedure, right? It's a medical procedure based on a person's choice or a woman's choice, whether or not she's going to carry that child to term, right? For us to put religious things in, it would be just like a gallbladder surgery, in my mind.
It's a little different.
No, I'm saying that it's a medical procedure. Now, let's go back to because you have where Catholics don't believe in contraceptives, yet the overwhelming number of women who are in childbearing age are using contraceptives. Okay, because our understanding of the science of the biology of how we have to feed people has evolved. And so, look, and this is fascinating, even the whole abortion issue as a religious issue, because other than the Catholic Church prior to 1977, evangelicals, Protestants, this wasn't an issue. It became a political issue, right? And the whole issue.
Say I believe it should be political.
I'm sorry?
It has no place. Government has no place in your bedroom. Now, let me make that clear.
But government had laws on the books in terms of who you could sleep with. Many states have gone in. Huh? Go on.
Hello?
Yeah, there are many states that had laws on the books that said it was illegal for people to have homosexual relationships.
Who they pointing their finger at when that was going? Oh, no, wait a second now.
There was a law.
That's right. And that's just not geared at homosexuals. You have heterosexuals that practice that as well.
Yeah, but sodomy used was directed at homosexuals.
Exactly.
All right. So when you have sodomy laws on your books, and Wisconsin had sodomy laws, a lot of states. Now, I could tell you from a practical perspective why people take religion out of it, take the divine out of it. What was the fear? They weren't so much worried about women being lesbians. They were more concerned about men not procreating, right? As if.
Okay, but Keith, what about the men that cannot father a child? What about the woman that cannot?
And there
that
becomes
cannot have a child.
Right. And there becomes your issue, because these are medical things. My wife and I don't have children. So what does that mean?
That means you could still be loving parents and people that can.
No, I mean, and here's the other piece of it. Who says if you don't want to be a parent, you shouldn't have to be a parent?
And Keith, let me tell you the next thing. It's a lot of young people that are getting married that do not want children.
Right. I mean,
they made that choice.
Right, they make that choice. And then we have people making babies who ain't taking care of the babies. And I ain't heard nobody talk about sending them to hell.
Right.
All right.
So there you go.
You're listening to Community Voice. Appreciate you. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Vanessa.
Welcome back to Community Voice, and we're inside the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce moment, and we have with us this morning Ms. Taisha Sharif and Lashina McElroy.
Good morning.
How are you, ladies?
Great.
Welcome to
Grateful.
the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Sorry that you had to hear what you had to hear coming on before you came on the air.
It's okay.
So tell me, what is your roles there at the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce?
So I work as the grant finance manager. So not only do I assist people with processing their grants, but kind of help them assist them after they meet with our business consultants, guiding them and helping them to figure out the best way to apply their grant funds.
And I am the chairwoman of the Black Restaurant Group Association that we have started that has restaurants in the group to help improve customer service this year. So we have this program going on until the end of December of this year.
When you talk about helping people support them when it comes to grants, what does that look like? What kind of?
Honestly, sometimes it even looks like therapy. So when people come into my office, they have already likely met with our business consultant. So they kind of got that assistance from the technical startup boot camp. But then when they come to me, they're really looking for their funds. Like, has it been paid out? Has this happened? And you kind of see not necessarily the desperation, but the need that they have. And then you start to get a little deeper for what it is that they're doing with their business and why. And sometimes that turns into, I need help. This is what's going on with my business. So we kind of find better ways to apply those grant funds and also find better ways to kind of support one another.
So you say the grants, who are the source of those grants?
So the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce actually received a grant in 2023, and that is dispersed to the recipient, the participants of the boot camp.
What can they use those grants for in terms of their business?
So really anything startup, anything business, so business rent, business supplies, anything that applies to your business from the point that you took the boot camp to the point that you applied for your funds.
Lashina?
Yes.
Hey. Man, it came in. That's. Let me do what my colleague does because she is an aspiring fashion designer. That green is popping.
Hey, thank you.
I mean, I could see it before. I could just.
It is.
Is that Buddy Green?
It is. It is. Absolutely.
My friend Karen Caldwell would always say she's a fashion designer. There are no primary colors in fashion.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah, that every color has a descriptor. So tell us about your role there.
Absolutely. So my role is to assist the Black restaurants that are a part of the Black Restaurant Group that we have started also via this grant as well. This was one of Ruben's opportunities and ideas, of course. Shout out to Ruben who's hanging out with Condoleezza Rice, Vice President, Madam Chair. Yes, today.
No.
Yes.
No, Condoleezza Rice is the Republican.
Kamala. She means Kamala.
Hey, Ruben, you started over there with Kamala Harris, dude. You over there with Condoleezza Rice?
Let me find out.
Condoleezza Rice.
That's so funny.
Oh, I'm really mad.
No, he's not. See, I was making sure y'all was awake.
There you go. That's how you know we listening.
Yeah, y'all listening today. All right. I love it.
Hey, you know what? Hey, there are no permanent friends. You need to be able to reach across the aisle, man. We talking business now. What did Michael Jordan say? Republicans buy sneakers too, right?
There it is.
But, Ruben is currently with Vice President Kamala Harris.
There it is, Kamala Harris. Yes, absolutely. So, as far as my role, that I am the chairwoman for the Black Restaurant Group. And again, like I said, this was part of Ruben's desire to improve customer service within our community, in our restaurants. Yes, we have amazing food, right? But sometimes our customer service is lacking, right?
You're
And
so diplomatic.
yeah,
Sometimes, and we're just not quite hitting the bar.
we're not hitting the bar. We're not hitting the bar. And so, with that being said, we have definitely started a Black restaurant group here in Milwaukee, which is part of the tickets that we actually give out to the community at all of our events. This voucher is worth $25. So, if you all have any of these, please, 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 you can definitely still use these until December 2024 of this year, the very last day. So even if the cohort isn't current, or if the restaurant isn't current, if you still have some of them from cohort 1 or 2, you are still able to use those until the end of the year. And so what we do every month is we come together and we discuss some of the pain points that our restaurants are experiencing. Some of those conversations get pretty heated, I must say. Again, by us being the community, we have a lot to say about what goes on in our communities, especially about the food that we consume and what that experience was like. And when it comes to giving feedback, yes, they're open. And then, like I said, sometimes those conversations can get a little bit heated because it's their baby. We understand, right?
What are they're concerned about the critique or the evaluation of the customer service?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes, again, like I said, it's personal to them because it's their baby, it's their business. But at the same time, on the flip side of that token, they have to understand that they are opening themselves up for critique because you're open to the public. And so we have an opportunity to speak.
That little thing.
Yeah, that little thing right there, right? Right. So we have a say in this. We are your stakeholders, whether you believe it or not. We have something to say about what that looks like and what it represents as a whole.
So, and this might be a little controversial, but is it cultural? I mean, we don't want to be, here's a big word, too pejorative, but is it something where I said this, I can go into a fast food restaurant. There's a line there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime a person gets frustrated in your line and walk out, you just lost business.
Correct.
And then you will hear this rejoinder, oh, we don't support Black businesses.
Right.
I think the key word here is business, and business is in competition with other folks.
Everybody.
And when I say it's cultural, part of it was when we were segregated, these were the only places we could go to. Right. So there was like, you basically had a captive audience. That's not the case now.
That's true.
And I think that there has to be where, my past job, I was the customer service guy, I was the front door guy. I mean, it makes a difference. And sometimes you can have great food.
Yeah.
Have a great ambiance in terms of what the place looks like, but you were treated like crap.
Yep.
And so, and I would have thought, because when Ruben first did this, I think this is 2 years now,
yes,
right?
Year 2.
And we're talking about this, and I would say it seemed to be a no-brainer to me that if you're in business and people are part of your business, how you treat those people should be paramount. And then we can work our way back, because people will give you, like, if it's, let's say, because the place is crowded, we only have 2 or 3 people working, but you can work that in such a way where people going like, understand.
Right.
But that to me, when he talked about that, it was seemed to me, if you're in business, man, I don't understand that disconnect.
And there is a huge disconnect, unfortunately. And so when you say culturally, I have to agree with you, because there are quite a few chefs here in the city that may not have those prestigious awards like some of our other cultures, right? Our counterparts when it comes to cooking and actually taking this serious. Some of our people have gone into this business as a means to an end and just jumping head first and not really realizing what it takes to be successful in business. And so it goes back to what we're doing, with our business boot camps and making sure that we're tackling every area in our community to make sure we understand, first and foremost, getting the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding, and then also being practical about that and moving forward with those steps. So when it comes to the restaurants, they definitely got the piece with the food, hands down. But then when it comes to the customer service, it's a little bit of a struggle. And like I said, they get real tender. I love y'all. I love every one of y'all. Y'all know I do. But they get very, very tender when it comes to that feedback.
Yeah, and you get all up in your feelings.
They do. But
you're gonna be out of business pretty soon too if you don't even get that. Because again, I'm sorry for just being so repetitive.
But it's true.
It's like, man, how do you? My cousins, they run Perkins. That's their restaurant, and I saw something that said that it's how we make you feel. Now, the food is good,
right? Food is excellent.
But what is that when I walk into that situation? How do you make me feel? It's, lack of better terms, it's like Cheers almost.
Yeah.
In terms of that,
right?
I'm sorry.
The mindset of service, wanting to serve your community, wanting to serve the people that you see, that you interact with.
Yeah. Okay, hold on a minute. Let's we're going to take a quick break and we're going to bring in our guest. You're listening to Community Voice. We're inside the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce moment. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. She is a business as part of what you're doing there in terms of
Black Restaurant
Black
Group.
Restaurants. Introduce yourself and tell us your business.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hyacinth Nemhard. I'm the owner, managing director of Tropic and Concoctions.
Yay.
Good morning, aka Alberta.
Hey.
Inside joke. Inside joke.
Josephine. Yay.
Those are such generational names.
They are.
You see like a 8-year-old named Josephine, you had to be named after your grandma.
For sure. For sure.
Well, Hyacinth ain't no better.
No, Hyacinth, right.
I am named after my grandmother.
pretty, though.
Yeah, it's my grandmother's name.
Oh, that's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
So tell us about, first of all, Concoctions.
Yes, that's my baby.
Tell us about Concoctions.
So Concoctions, I started Concoctions many years ago. I was a young homeowner. I had to be like 20, 25 at the time. And I love to entertain. I was really big into the Food Network and watching shows and trying to go and recreate a lot of the things that I saw in those shows. And when I would go to the liquor stores, I just could not get any help with anything. And I would go and ask for certain things and they would be like, what is that? Never heard of it. So I started entertaining at home and I wanted to be able to have restaurant quality drinks at home. So from there, concoctions was just birth. People used to joke and say, "Oh, you always concocting something." So that's where the name came from. And then, I started a liquor store. Concoctions actually started as a liquor store with a small bar inside. We did drinks to go, no bigger than this booth that we're sitting at right now. And, lo and behold, I had no idea where we were going with COVID, but we were doing the drinks to go way back then, where you would get the frozen drink and get the little nip on the side, which is, the little bottle you get on the airplane. On the East Coast, we call them nips. But we that's how we were serving the drinks back then. Well, wrong location. Way too young. I think back, like, what was I thinking at 26? I could not imagine being a business owner at 26 years old. But when I tell you, I got a crash course in everything not to do. So I kind of, when Concoctions, the liquor store, closed, I was doing private parties in people's homes. I went and approached the East Town Association and asked for an opportunity at Jazz in the Park, which I was blessed to get that. We were there for 9 years. And in that time, we also got a drink truck. So we were doing the virgin version of the drinks on the truck mobile. And now we're on Brady Street, and it's been quite a ride. Brady Street has had its ups and downs. I've had some struggles, full transparency. A lot of y'all probably know that, license wise, they didn't want us over there, but very happy to overcome that. And now we're just looking forward to growing the business and doing what we do best, which is serving delicious frozen drinks made with or without alcohol.
And your other baby.
That's my new baby. Oh, Lord, I don't know if I call that my baby. It's my problem child. No. I say that, talking about Tropic, 518 North Water Street. I was talking about, I say that because, I'm used to drinks, and that's what I know. What I didn't know was about that kitchen. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's what you were just talking about. I know how to cook. Cooking at home is different than cooking commercially. You can write a great recipe, but you need a great person to execute that. And that has been my struggle since I've opened, is just finding good cooks, people that will, uphold my standards of cleanliness and how I like things done, because I very much am a stickler for a lot of things and how I run my business. And, it's also hard. You have men working for you. You're a woman. Like, let's just keep it real. Right. That's a problem. Okay. For a lot of men. To take direction from women. You woun't believe that, would you? Share out the front page. So that's been a struggle.
Started
too.
with our mamas.
And I ain't nobody mama. I ain't trying to be. I'm the boss. So it's like, that's a difference. But I'm enjoying it so much because Tropic is me paying homage to my father, Edson Nemhard, who's no longer here. My father was a great entrepreneur, not just in the city of Milwaukee, where he did real estate for many years, and he had a commercial cleaning business before he passed. But I'm originally from New York. My father's originally from Jamaica, but my father immigrated to New York, first generation immigrant, and he worked at one job. He worked at the Ford dealership. And after that, he ran many businesses in New York. Champion Bakery, you can look it up. It's still there in the Bronx on White Plains Road. But that's where I grew up. I grew up in businesses. So that's all I knew my whole life. So Tropic for me is kind of like unfinished business for my father. So that's why you see the influence of Jamaica there. We make our own rum punch, which is something he taught me how to make. We make our jerk wings, which is the star of our menu. I'm not going to sit here and lie. We're not a cheesecake factory. We don't have 50 million things on the menu. I just believe in doing a few things and doing them well. So we have the jerk wings, we have the Jamaican patties, which are definitely a staple in our culture. But then we have some, Americanized bar bites as well. Our pizzas are really good. I love a thin crust pizza being from New York. So we have a really good pizza that we make from scratch. It's not frozen. And we do a couple other really good bar bites on our menu as well. But I'm really proud of the rum punch. I'm really proud of our drink list. We have an extensive cocktail list that's not just, throwing some things together in a cup and hoping it comes out right. I mean, we're really mixing, and my team is really well trained. And we have a lot of great mocktails as well.
Have you all seen The Bear?
No, but I've heard.
Oh, you should. I think it opened my eyes in terms of how a kitchen is run at a restaurant, right? I mean, you got all the stuff to add, and you got a beautiful space there. I mean, it's beautiful, but I didn't realize just how, one, that there are portions that you do. People anticipate the number of people that they're going to have in, so then they'll know how much of that particular product they have. So I was impressed. So then I really have a great appreciation of people who are running these restaurants. And based on your address, there is a certain expectation that people have
Correct.
being on Water Street.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And I try to uphold that expectation. We don't serve people out of plastic cups. And I know a lot of people are like, why does she keep talking about plastic cups? Because that matters. I'm
It
sorry. I'm a whole grown
does.
woman. And if
Mhm.
my feet aren't under grass, don't give me a plastic cup. So we and that's it's not cheap. It's not cheap. And I see why a lot of bars don't do it though. I'm not even knocking other places because I know why they don't do it. It's labor intensive. You got to be able to wash those glasses. You they break. You got to replace them. They're expensive. So I get why places don't do it, but that's something that I'm very adamant on, just to be able to elevate the experience. But with people having a certain expectation, I think the public also needs to understand that there's a certain it's a reverse expectation, and with respect that don't come downtown expecting to pay, inner city prices either,
Correct.
because these are different rents. These are different, there are different financial obligations
East
that
of
come
the river.
along, so, I think that a lot of the consumer doesn't understand that, and I know you probably been looking at my Google reviews. You seen them? You see how that man came for me?
He
About the
did.
patty.
He did.
I said, sir, this ain't for your budget. I understand. It's not for
Right.
everybody, so it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Have you, how have you benefited from your relationship with the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce?
Well, let me say, I would definitely say they hold me accountable. And as the business owner, the only people that you really have to hold you accountable are your customers, which is a 50-50 split, because I'm sorry, I'm not an owner that comes from the school of the customer is always right. So right is right and wrong is wrong. Just because you're a customer don't make you always right. Okay. Sometimes the customer is wrong. And sometimes we are wrong, and I totally own that. When my business or my staff does something that negatively impacts the experience or the quality of the product that we are putting out, I take full responsibility for that. But sometimes, people are just unrealistic, and people are, just we ain't right, especially us to us. So I'm not just picking up anything. But the chamber, I feel like, is very unbiased in that way to hold me accountable to making sure that I'm doing certain things in my business that is going to help me grow. So that relationship, having somebody there who is not a family member, a friend, a customer, or even a team member, because I think, your team members should also hold you accountable too as an owner to a certain degree, but that can be hard. They're working for you. They may not feel comfortable, holding you accountable to certain things. So I think that's what the relationship with the chamber does for me as an owner.
It was interesting. You said the customer is always right. We know that's not true. But I always say that your best customer service is with your worst customer.
Yes.
And that becomes, even though you might be wrong, how do I then navigate that, negotiate that in such a way where we get it back to, okay, because we're all going to make mistakes.
Yes.
Right. I mean, for us to expect perfection when we go into a situation. And I do think that, as you just mentioned, we do hold each other to a different standard.
Definitely.
And so there's, how do you balance that?
What?
That high expectation or a different expectation that you would have as opposed to the reality of what people were experiencing when they come into your establishment. Not to say that, no, maybe let me ask this again, because I know you're looking at me like, what? No, I mean, in terms of that, understanding that sometimes you're going to come in and you're going to have a difficult customer. Okay. How do you try to handle that or negotiate that?
Some people just aren't my customer. And I recognize that. Everybody is not my customer. And I think that I know that when I think to some of the most difficult customers that I've had to deal with, luckily at Concoctions, I don't have that problem. People just come there, they want to drink, they're happy, they're in and out. We don't have the service aspect of it there. You can sit in Concoctions, but it's not really like the same service experience you get at Tropic. And one thing about my team, I'm so blessed. My front of the house team, I got that. Like I talked about the cooks in the kitchen, how that's been a struggle. But my front of the house team, I have a great staff who they really buy into me as the owner. They want to see me win. They see me work hard. I never ask them to do something that I myself am not willing to get in there and do with them. So I think having a team that believes in me and knows the standards that I'm holding myself and my business to and them to, it creates a sense of urgency for them. So by that I mean, when there's a customer in there and we fumble. I know right away because my staff is telling me right away, Hyacinth, this happened, I don't know what to do. And I get in there right away and address that issue. And I'm very, like this past Sunday, we were short staffed because of Mother's Day and we were extremely busy. We had a candles and cocktails event upstairs and a lot of people were out celebrating Mother's Day and we were short staffed. It was just no way around it. People took off for Mother's Day and we had somebody call in. So it affects you, I left concoctions and ran up there immediately and jumped in and helped. And my first thing I did was I went around to each table and explained, please, be patient with us. We're short staffed. Well, I'm gonna make sure I take care of you guys. And I think a lot of times people just want to be acknowledged. You just got to acknowledge them and let them know what's going on. But when you put your head down and act like you don't see them and act like there's no problem going on, that's the problem. We all make mistakes. It's how you recover from them. So for me, I'm just very I'm very willing to accommodate customers, but then there's certain people where I have gone to them like, let me take care of this for you. I remember one customer in particular, she was upset about her wait time and I was comping her some quick items that I knew we could get out of the kitchen right away. And she refused to eat them. She didn't want them. And I get it. That might not be what you wanted, but I was just giving you something to tide you over while we got caught up on the chicken, because these are not deep fried wings that we're doing. These are, air fried wings. They have to be seasoned, which we have that done, but it's not a chicken wing out the bag. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a process. And she left all the food there and I apologized immensely. And, I said, what can I do to rectify this? And she didn't want any. She was unfixable, and at some point you have to just acknowledge, I will just keep throwing things at her, because it was what it was, so that's the balance. I mean, like I said, it's just some people are not your customer and you can't please everybody. And you're setting yourself up for failure if you think you can, because you just can't.
Love that.
No, you're
love that. Love that. Love that. And a lot of times when it comes to the restaurants, it is about learning who your customer base is, right? And who you niche down to. And you can't do everything well, like you stated. You figure out what you're good at, how you can get it out, and how can we also be of service to our community, ultimately, which is our stakeholders. And so when it comes to, I know there was something that we learned in our last meeting, is that it takes 18 minutes to cook chicken. Who knew that? And so right. And so do our customers really have a real expectation of when food is going to come out? So that's a great topic to segue
it's
into.
interesting because if you've ever been to Key West, especially when it's hot, they will tell you we move very slowly here. We move very slowly. So if you come in here thinking you Gary get McDonald's, you're not getting McDonald's. So we have to, and then once you know that you calibrate down and go like, okay. We're inside the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce moment. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for that special outfit for graduation? How about prom? And don't forget, Father's Day is fastly approaching. You need to stop by Nick Cavani's, where they have a large variety of suits, blazers,
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And again, we're here with the good folks from the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce. And we're actually talking about their Black Restaurant Association, right?
Yes, Black Restaurant Group.
Black Restaurant Group. And we have one of the participants. And Hyacinth, I wish you would be a little bit more honest and direct. You hold it back. Stop holding it back. Tell us what you really think.
I try to do what I can do.
That's really interesting, though. You talk about the, your West Indian roots, the being from Jamaica and the whole thing. And you said your dad only had one job. The joke is about how people work. But that work ethic, I think, becomes something that it means a lot when you're in business.
Oh, yeah.
There's some people just don't have the work ethic. Why a restaurant? You did a liquor store. What challenge did you see? Challenge in terms of, I want to climb this mountain, because it seems like you're a person who sees a challenge and you will go after that challenge. Why restaurant?
Well, if I'm being honest, Tropic chose me. I did not choose Tropic.
Okay.
I was really focused, and I still am, and I'm working on franchising concoctions. That was always my dream for that business. But when you ask why a restaurant, I grew up in my parents were very much entertainers. From a young child, I just remember my mother and father loved to entertain at home. It was all about cooking and, making people feel good and having a good time. And everybody loved my father. And I think that's probably where the hospitality-ness of it all came from. And then again, that you saw that when I mentioned as a young homeowner, that was coming out of me. So that was already kind of stewing inside of me. When it came to Tropic, I was in a very dark place with my business. I didn't know my business was kind of in limbo at the moment. And honestly, I will never forget this day. I was depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was at a crossroads in my life, and I was sitting in a park in my car, and I said to myself, I'm going to just drive. I'm just leaving. I'm just going to drive. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going to go. And I went home and I sat on my couch and I just sat there all afternoon. And the next morning I woke up and I said, I'm going to cry all day today. I'm just going to cry and get it out of my system. And that's what I'm going to do today. And when I tell you, God came in my heart and said, Google commercial properties for rent. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to cry.
God. You listen to God?
I picked up the phone and I Googled. And when I tell you, Tropic popped up with the first thing that popped up on my phone. And something jumped. And I said, okay, here we go. And I started calling. I started making the calls, and everything just started falling into place. And I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. It was happening. It was happening to me, and I didn't even know it was happening. So it was kind of like, it was kind of like, I didn't, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I didn't really choose Tropic, but the hospitality side of me was always there. And what I do love about what I do, and this is why I get so frustrated, like when I have to deal with the drama of cook turnover and all of that, is that my place is up front greeting my customers. And I love walking around asking people, how is everything? I love making connections with people. I love being able to connect with them on some level beyond the drinks, and feel like there's a real camaraderie between me and my customers. So that's important to me. I think that's more of it than even so much the food, because like I said, we don't have an extensive menu. I would love to be able to cook. We have a very small kitchen. I would love to be able to cook the way I cook at home and do a lot of the Jamaican dishes that I do at home. The kitchen just doesn't lend to that right now. And instead of doing something halfway and it's not the greatest product, that's why, I kind of made the decision to keep the kitchen and the menu simple. But yeah, the Tropic chose me.
Who's part of the cohort this year?
Sure. So right now, cohort number 3 has Perkin Boys on the Grills.
Cousins.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely. Your cousins for real. Yes.
Cousins for real.
Yes. No play.
No play.
Okay.
Cousins.
All right. And you have Delicious Bites. We have Mr. B's and Mikasa Sukasa. And unfortunately, we did have Brothers Backyard Barbecue, but we know that they decided to close their doors. And pursue other ventures. So sometimes that does happen. And we've lost 3 restaurants since we started this last year, because, you know, it's tough. It's tough.
A restaurant business is really
It's
tough.
brutal.
I'll
Yeah.
never forget, there was a young lady, she was working for the mayor, and she was talking about how difficult it is to run a restaurant bar. She said, you have to be there.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of reasons why you have to be there. And so if you're not willing to go all in on it, you're really going to have a problem. And, and hearing those many years ago, and then to hear people talk about their real lived experiences when it comes to doing a restaurant. And then if you're targeting a particular market, that makes it even more fraught with difficulties. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was okay. So God said, I hear you gonna cry, but as you're crying, still Google.
And that's what I
With
did.
tears in your eyes.
Tears in your eyes.
That's what I did. That's exactly how it happened, because I wasn't planning that at all, you know. And then I did Tropic. I sold my house because at the time COVID was still happening. So I knew a bank was not about to give me $1 to do that. So I said, okay, how am I going to do this? And I lived in my home for 10 years, and it was a very hard decision. It was a big risk. It was a lot of sacrifice. But I sold my home. I moved in an apartment, and I said, this is what we're going to do. And then 3 months after, as I was, remember I said I was, my concoctions was kind of in a transition, and I ended up looking for another location for concoctions. And once I moved, I was traveling down Brady Street to go home, and I saw this little spot, and I said, maybe I'll put concoctions there. So I looked into that. The rent was $5,000. I said, no, thank you.
My goodness.
So there was another spot right next door to it. And Lord forgive me, I could tell the business was going down. Like just by I would drive by that they were never open when they said they were. So that was like signs to me. So I told my agent, I said, you know what? I'm going to wait on that other little spot, because that other spot, I can't stand that $5,000 rent. So I waited, and maybe 3 months later, not even 3, maybe like 2 months later, my agent called. She said, yep, they're gone. Do you want it? I said, yep. And next thing you know, that was happening. So I opened Tropic in April of 2022. And then I opened Concoctions in July of 2022. And when I look back on that, that was nothing but the grace of God, because I in my mind right now today, if somebody told me, Hyson, go and open a lounge in April and then go open another business, I would say absolutely not.
Right.
I will not do that, you know. But it wasn't, you know, that's like you gotta trust God. I just trust, you know, where I'm being led, and it's been a ride. I'm very, very thankful.
As always, we talk about all the events that the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce, you guys sponsor, you support, or you put on. So where are we now? Bring us up to date to some of the things you all are doing.
Absolutely. So today we actually have our third Thursday event featuring our pitch competition, which allows the contestants to pitch their business and tell the crowd, talk to them about why they're passionate about their business, what it is that they do. And then they have the opportunity to win a grant of $3,000, $7,000, or $10,000. We have this pitch competition every month until November, and December we'll be picking a winner and doing the larger competition. So today, our third Thursday pitch competition will be paired in collaboration with the Big Hat Soiree.
Hey.
Yes, at the Milwaukee Performing Arts Center. That's 929 West Water Street from 5:30 to 9 p.m. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. So for participants who are participating in this event, you can look forward to networking, food, fun, vendors, as well as the pitch competition. And then we'll also be honoring some community lenders. And then as always, we provide some business resources. So that's what we have going on today. You can expect that every third Thursday from the Wisconsin Black Chamber. Also, as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, we got the 3,000 Black Business Challenge. Yes. We have a boot camp coming up this Saturday. So every first and third Saturday, you can look for that business boot camp. We cover credit, startup, marketing, branding, funding, Section 3, nonprofit organizations, everything that you can think of for that technical assistance business startup. With this program, we also offer that $1,000 grant. We get the free business credit coaching, as well as 2 meetings with our business consultants who are really there to guide you and support you. Yes. And again, give you that therapy when it comes to being an entrepreneur as well. Also, we have the Taste of Black Milwaukee featuring Men Who Cook competition. Yes. Hey. That is coming up June 15th. It is an all-day event where we have some of the city's best cooks competing. So you can look forward to some fun, some entertainment, some connections, some vendors. And we are actually also looking for vendors, food vendors, cooks, retail, any
Yes.
type of service like that, as well as performance vendors. So any local talent, comedy acts, singers, spoken word. We want to connect with you. We want to see you at that event. So if you need more information or you want to register as a vendor, you can contact us by calling us 414-306-6460. Or you can also visit our website, twbcc.com, or send us an email at admin, ADMIN, at twbcc.com. So that is a little bit about what we got going on. We hope to see y'all.
Yes. Come out. Come
Yeah.
out.
Men who cook.
Men who cook.
I like that.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to. I've been
Cooking?
cooking.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Y'all coming?
Well,
Y'all
it's a
cooking?
love language.
What y'all doing? It is.
It is a love
It
language.
is. Right to the
Mhm.
stomach.
Now, if
Yes.
we could just keep it 100, like a brick don't come through your window until she cooks for you.
Listen, that is
Brick
very
is coming
true.
through your window when
Yes.
you cloud
Let
it
her
and she can cook
find
for
out.
you.
Let her
That's when it's
find
real.
All
out.
kind of stuff, but when she
Yes.
cook,
Well, it goes both ways.
I know, right?
It's very true.
Well, well, we won't go down. No,
Got the
but
whole started.
no, I'm hoping. I just need to work up the nerve. I wish I had your guts, because I really want to do my sloppy joes sliders admin.
Well, come on.
Oh, you want me to say the website?
Yes, come on down. We have to do it now that you done put it out
Yeah,
there.
y'all-
And they looking for people. They just said that.
Yes, we
Yeah,
need men to
but,
cook
I
for
like sloppy
us.
joes.
I
Do-
love sloppy
Me
joes.
too.
Do you?
I do. I really do.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Okay, sign them
You
up.
never know. It might be a need.
Yeah.
All of us looking for sloppy
Sloppy
joes
Joe
out here.
sliders. Yeah, it was.
You gonna put some cheese on it?
Can I get a
That's an
pickle?
option. I was in Panama,
Right.
and I had a sloppy Joe, and because I think I'm a sloppy Joe connoisseur. I know it. And
Okay.
he put avocado.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but I would do cheese. I would think like I didn't. Okay.
Okay, so you gonna do it?
You gonna
You gonna
have to
do
come to
it?
boot
You
camp.
gotta
Let's
do
go.
it now.
Let's
You
go.
gotta do it now.
Come on,
Let's
to boot
go.
camp.
We
We'll help
signing you
out.
up right now?
Yeah. How many people you got to prepare for?
We have a crowd. I'm not sure how many guests we have at the moment, but at least 20. You want to be prepared for at least
I
at least
can
20
do
people.
that. I did do one. Not that anybody cares. I did do one.
We care.
That was prime rib.
Oh,
Wow.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Prime rib.
come on
I think it's a
with it.
market
We've
for that.
done short rib.
Yes.
Yeah, it's I don't know how I ended up doing it. It was one of those things. Did NPS sell? Did they used to serve sloppy joes?
Yes.
They did,
Yeah,
didn't
when
they?
I was in
Not a
school.
product of NPS.
Right. Oh. Okay.
Oh.
I'm not bougie or
Shame.
nothing.
You gotta go somewhere, right?
Right.
But no, I remember my mom would do them, and I don't know. One day I just decided let me do it. So I started doing my concoctions and working on. And that's why I really discovered is because sometimes I watch the cooking shows,
Mhm.
and there was a on Apple they had a mini series called Lessons in Chemistry.
Mm.
The woman was a chemist in the 50s, and so women couldn't really go and be chemists, and so she applied her chemistry to her recipes.
Wow.
And then I began to find out just how precise you have to be in your measurements, the balance of taste, texture, all those things. So so then I just started doing it, started working with it. I won't tell people what my secret is. There is a secret to, if you want fantastic sloppy joes, I will not tell what the secret is.
We just gonna taste it at
You
the
gonna
menu.
taste it.
And you
Yeah.
cook. I'm ready for it.
Yeah,
Ooh, might be on the next cohort.
Yes.
I don't know. You never know.
Give me a tip down at but because I met Hyacinth.
Yes,
when
tell
she
the
was-
story. That was a
Okay.
good story that
Okay,
I
I
totally
used-
forgot, but I remembered once you told me.
Right. So I used to walk, and so I would walk from the 3rd Ward to Jazz in the Park on Thursdays.
Mhm.
And you have all the stuff. So I saw
Right.
hers, and it was like concoctions. So I don't know if it was one of your sisters or somebody who was working.
A friend of mine.
Friend of yours?
Mhm.
Y'all look alike.
Yes.
And so came over, and I kind of liked she does this margarita, right?
Neon margarita.
Yep. And so did it. So it became my habit. So I had I used to just carry a credit card and my license, and I sat on it and I bent the credit card. And she was trying to get it to read, and she couldn't get it to read. And she said, you need to get a wallet.
Yes, sir.
And so I said, oh, okay. So now I'm so embarrassed that, I need to get a wallet. And so then I did. I was going looking for something else, and I was telling her I went to Milwaukee Boot Company. This guy is a leathersmith. I mean, he knows leather. And so the wallet I have right now is the wallet I got based on the conversation
You had.
of being so embarrassed. Now,
Listen, and that wallet looks good, and
great.
it's been years since that happened, so
Exactly.
it's holding up for you well.
Well, like I told
Shout
you,
out
this
to
dude-
Milwaukee
this
Boots.
guy was talking about leather. And as I was telling Hyacinth, I'm a shoe guy.
Okay.
So, the type of leather, we talk about last and all those things, but the quality of leather, I'll do this and then I'll move on. A great shoe is cut.
Come on with it.
A great shoe is cut from the same piece of leather. Most shoes are patch leather. They take different types, but a real good shoe, Allen Edmonds, that's their whole approach, is that one piece of leather so you have consistency in the leather.
Right.
And the more you pay for shoes, the more that leather is going to be one high quality leather, but it's always going to be one piece. So we just sitting there having that conversation. I said, I need a wallet. And he said, okay, I got one for you. And I've been carrying it ever since.
Wow. Shout out to Milwaukee Boots.
Milwaukee Boot Company.
Hey,
and
look at those
he started it, and then like a lot of people with COVID, he had to, but I think he still does online because something came up where he could get it. I think, I always joke. I love the pitch contest. We were at your last month. No,
not
the
me.
one
Not
before.
Several months ago.
Yeah,
She
we
did.
did one.
It was a
You
while
did do
ago.
one,
Yeah, it was a while ago though.
Yeah, which I call Renaissance. Anybody saw that episode of Martin when he opened up a restaurant and Cole came up with the idea? Hey, what we do is people can bring their food and we'll rent spoons.
Right.
Rent a spoon. so you hear all these pitches sometimes. You're going like, dude. And then the irony was MC Hammer bought the restaurant and he said, you know what I'm going to do? He said, what? Rent a spoon. So, no, but to hear these folks with their ideas, the woman I fell in love with was the woman who did the gele. And gele is that African head wrap.
I was in a cohort with her with business.
Right. Yeah. And she was, as she's doing her presentation, she's rapping the gele.
Absolutely beautiful.
And so,
she's amazing.
She ended up winning too.
Yeah, she did. As well she should have.
Deserved that.
But there's been some others out there, you going like,
ooh.
But you know what? That's the whole thing about business now.
Anybody can.
When Ruben, he came on one day and I was talking about people's dreams and their dreams of businesses, and Ruben said, well, some dreams should be crushed.
Oh,
right.
Ruben.
No, but his point is just because, and it is a balance between you hearing this inspiration, I need to open this up, and then whether or not it can work. Now, if I'm coming up with all the reasons why it can't work, it probably won't work.
Right.
Right. So the people who, and they do it, it is you stepping out on faith.
True.
You really are, because once you put everything in place, you have faith and hope that people are going to show up and then support your business. So, the people who have that, they have that kind of thing. And I think the other piece of it with your dad was, for a lot of people, I don't think your dad liked working for someone.
Probably not, because he comes from a farming family in Jamaica, 12 kids, and just very strong work ethic. And even when we left New York, my father, for a very short period of time, we had fell on hard times when we first moved here from New York. And I remember my father worked at Patrick Cudahy, and my mother used to wake us up in the middle of the night to go pick him up. And I'm like, why we gotta go?
Right.
But we used to go. And when I tell you, my daddy worked there for a very short period of time, and then he got into real estate, and then he did the cleaning business. So yeah, he was a serial entrepreneur. And I think when you grow up seeing that, it does something to you. My mother was his support system. She ran the home portion of the business with the real estate and all of that. So, that's all I knew. And all of my aunts and uncles, very few of them have jobs. They're all entrepreneurial. So
yeah, because there were some people who just don't like the idea of ever working for someone, and you want to be your own boss.
Yeah.
To be able to go in. Now, me, on the other hand, my life experience has been, I've been so institutionalized. I'm always used to working for someone, but I admire those people. And I think the other piece of it is your folks came from the land, and that's real significant in terms of my folks migrated from Tennessee, but they were landowners, and your attitude about real estate and land and property is very different when this has been your source, that you live from the land.
Right.
So, yeah.
That
Yeah.
is true. That
Yeah.
is true.
You said you didn't go to MPS?
No, I did not.
Where'd you go?
I went to Hope Street School up the street, and I went to Mesmer, and I also went to Claire Muhammad. So I was like raised.
Oh, really?
So she was around us.
I was near y'all.
Oh, right.
You know, I couldn't wave to y'all, but
You
I
know,
was.
Claire Muhammad is a shero, and people are not aware of Claire Muhammad's her history, her background. She was married to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Yes.
but when he went to prison because they didn't want to go to war, you know, World War II, she ran the nation.
Yep.
She ran the nation, and many people consider her the person who brought homeschooling.
Yes, she refused.
She refused to send her kids to public school. Yeah.
I adopt that same ideology.
Really?
Yeah. I completely respect that, even all the way to the conversation you were having before we came.
Oh
in
yeah,
here.
I know you were.
Yeah, it's just,
But that's interesting in terms of, we had a question yesterday. So if you homeschool your kids,
Mhm.
is there money attached to that, or you just you need to have an approved curriculum?
So you do have to have an approved curriculum.
Okay.
You still have to report somewhere that so that your child is being educated, but you are able to create a curriculum for your own child, or you can use a program. But there's no money that comes there. There's no money that comes to you.
It's all on you.
No,
DPI.
no, it's all on you. As it should be in some cases. It's my job to educate her. It's my job to prepare her. Even the things that we're teaching in business boot camps, all
Yeah.
those things. That, like you said, it's something that's indoctrinated into you. It's something that you taught when you're young, but we're not taught about service, like actually service in our communities. We're not taught how to run our businesses, or how to even have the mindset towards business. We come into our programs like the business boot camp because we missed it the last 30 years. But when you homeschool, you have that opportunity to instill those values in small ways. So.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're up on the last break of the program. We'll be right back.
It'll air each and every Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. We'll discuss financial literacy and what part Columbia Savings and Loan can play in your journey to financial freedom. Remember to join us each and every Thursday from 11 till noon, right here at 860 a.m. and 106.5 FM.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And again, as we finish up with the good folks from the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce, anything you all want to leave with us before we wrap it up?
I do definitely have some shameless plugs.
Yes. Go ahead.
So with respect to concoctions, you guys, I would love to see you all come down and get some delicious frozen drinks. Once again, made with or without alcohol. We also have a partnership with 1-800-Flowers. So anytime you're ordering fruit bouquets or Sherry's berries, we are fulfilling those orders. It's a huge deal. Again, that's something that God blessed me with. I wasn't even looking for it, but it's been a huge lifesaver for my business because their slow season is our slow season is their busy season. So we just got through with Mother's Day. So it's super fulfilling to be able to do a lot of beautiful arrangements for Milwaukee moms. But please go like us on social media because we're going to be hosting one of the things that we do at Concoctions is our slush and slime parties for the kids. So I know parents, we do not like having that slime in our house. We take that mess and all that messiness out of your home and we do it right at Concoctions. But we're going to be doing a free one for the community in the coming week, sometime this summer. I just want to make sure we're in the clear with the weather because I'm going to have it all set up outside on the patio for the kids and it's going to be free. So please like us on social media, Concoctions MKE on Facebook and Instagram. And the website is concoctionsmke.net. Tropic, I'm super excited about this weekend. We have our distinguished affair. So it's a 40 and up neo soul night that we're doing. We have some live music. We're going to have Landon Harmon on the drums and Deluxe. He's going to be singing and serenading you all. So please come down, dress to impress. It's going to be a super sexy vibe. That's this Friday. And then I'm also hosting a mix and sip mixology day party June 9th, where you'll get to come and do your own mixing and definitely your own sipping. I'll be showing you guys how to make 3 custom cocktails and it's going to be a super fun day. So you can get all the information for those events over at tropicmke.com.
Absolutely. And absolutely. Just want to shout out all of the restaurants that are participating in the Black Restaurant Group. Please, if you have any of these vouchers, please make sure that you go out and support. We currently have Perkin Boys on the Grill. We have Tropic. Yes. We have Mr. B's. We have Mr. Mikasa, Sue Cafe, and we have Delicious Bites. And like I stated earlier, if you have some of these still from the previous cohorts, these are our current restaurants that we are working with. But if you still have some from Daddy's, if you still have some from Scene One, from Pepper Pod, some of the other ones, please, you still have until the end of the year, which is December 31st, 2024, to use them, okay? So please make sure that you come out and support and give the feedback, people. That's the most important part. Yes, the meal is on the chamber, but we are interested in the feedback and your customer service experience. So please support, go out and support these restaurants and give us your feedback.
All right, and next third Thursday of the month, we'll ask Ruben what the visit was like with Condoleezza Rice.
Yes, Condoleezza. Not Kamala.
Not Kamala.
Don't do her like that.
Shout out to Kamala Harris.
Hey,
she's in town, right?
Yeah.
That's who he's with.
That's where he's at.
But it was
Okay.
announced he was with Condoleezza Rice.
Yes. I was just making sure he was listening. I was just making sure.
So let me thank Taisha Sharif. Let me thank Lashina McElroy.
You're so welcome.
And let me thank Hyacinth Nemhard.
Nemhard. The T is silent.
The T is silent.
My daddy just put that on here when he came to America trying to be fancy.
Different.
So everybody's always asking, why do some of y'all family members don't have the T and some of y'all do? I'm like, my daddy's extra. He had to put the T on it.
And having somewhat of an unusual last name, I can appreciate that.
Yes.
Let me thank you all. Give my best to Ruben.
Thank you.
Let me thank Debo. Let me thank Harvey, Nate, Jay. What's happening? Everybody that's here. Good Lord willing, creek don't rise. We hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.
Peace.
Thank you.